welcome to another episode of Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. I'm Dr. Erin McKinley, and today we have another awesome spotlight session with Holly Kyzer from the Ouachita Baptist University Dietetic Internship Program based in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, to start us off, tell us a little bit about you, your journey to RD, and how you landed at Ouachita.
Well, my mother was a home economics teacher for 42 years in the local school system. So my love of nutrition and food kind of started with her. I decided a little bit late in my career as a college student at Ouachita that I wanted to go into nutrition dietetics. My sister is a physician and she is 4 years ahead of me, and she graduated with a degree in biology and chemistry. And I thought, I want to do something also in the medical field. And so I was a little bit late to the game. I went ahead and graduated with a degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. And then once I graduated, I went back for all of my nutrition and dietetics courses. After I completed those courses, then I went to University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences for the internship program. And then once I completed that, I stuck around and I finished my master's degree as well with a master's in nutrition from University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. I have worked for over 17 years in the Baptist Health Medical Center system in Arkadelphia. And while I was working there, I also taught at Ouachita Baptist University and a university across the street from us, Henderson State University, for 15 years. So it was a great job where I was able to actually work in the clinical setting and then also teach in education. So I was able to see the book come to life. You know, what we saw in the book and we would read, I also had a practicum course that I taught, and students would come and see me in the hospital. So it was always nice to see that this is what we just read about, congestive heart failure or diabetes or whatever the topic is. And here's a patient that has that. How do you treat them? So that's kind of my journey into nutrition and dietetics.
All right. Well, tell us all about your program.
So I'm going to go through some slides that I have here. Ouachita Baptist University has been here for over 130 years. We are committed to encouraging a love of God and a love of learning. We are a faith-based university, so we also have a strong academic reputation, and we're ranked year after year among the nation's top colleges by the U.S. News and World Report, also by Forbes. We are a close-knit campus community. We have a 12-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio in our undergraduate program. So we like the smaller class sizes and easier access to your instructors. Our mission is on this slide, and I won't read the mission statement to you. You can read that on your own. But we want our students to not just, survive in our program. We want them to thrive also. Our main mission is to prepare competent entry-level registered dietitians to practice in whatever setting is your goal, that's your wish. This slide goes over our admission requirements. You do have to possess a baccalaureate degree from an accredited university. You also have to have your verification statement from an Ascend accredited nutrition dietetics didactic program or the foreign dietitian education program. If you are a senior in your current university and you will be completing your program in May, then we do have to have that declaration of intent to complete the DPD within the last 5 years. We do have a recency statement as well. So if you have completed your degree within the past 5 years, then you're good to go. But if it's been longer than 5 years, then we do require a minimum of 3 hours of course credit in clinical dietetics and then another 3 hours of course credit in administrative dietetics. We do have 3 admission requirements that deal with a GPA. The first one is a minimum cumulative GPA of a greater than or equal to 2.7 on a 4.0 scale. We also have the minimum of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale for all your nutrition and dietetics courses. And then our last GPA deals with science courses. So we require a minimum of a greater than or a 2.5 on the 4.0 scale in your science courses. We also do require the GRE with a minimum score of 290 completed within the past 5 years. One of the things that we also look at is that if you have dietetics related or food service experience. Whether it's volunteer or paid, it always looks good on your application. Also, if you're an international applicant or American citizen who learned English as a second language, then you must score the minimum requirements on there for the TOEFL test. Then the last bullet point on the admission requirements is something that we always just like to cover with all of our applicants, is that exceptions to any of these requirements will be considered on an individual basis. So if you are interested in applying and maybe you meet everything but one, go ahead and apply. We do, look at the applicant as a whole and not necessarily at every single little admission requirement. The tuition and fees for our program at Ouachita Baptist University, the tuition is $750 per credit hour. You will receive 18 hours of graduate credit in our program. We are a 9-month program, so we start in August and we conclude in May. So if you were to multiply the $750 times the 18 hours, it's a little over $13,000. The parking fee is $40 per semester. There's a technology fee of $110 per semester, and then a one-time only fee of $35 for a lab fee. These are the only fees that are associated with our program that are paid directly to Ouachita Baptist University. There are some additional expenses that you would have to pay for just on your own before you would enter into our program. Those are the typical things that all dietetic internships require, things like a TB skin test or a medical exam or a flu shot, lab coat, car insurance, health insurance, those types of things. But this slide represents the tuition and fees that's paid directly to Ouachita Baptist University, and there's nothing else that's required but the things that I mentioned in books. The dietetic internship courses that we teach, you will receive 9 hours of graduate credit in the fall semester and 9 hours of graduate credit in the spring semester. The Diet 6003, which is Advanced Clinical and Community Nutrition, that is an online course. It is an 8-week course. Diet 6013, Nutrition and Dietetics Research, that is a second online course that you would take. How we do these is that our semesters are 17 weeks long each semester. The first week is an orientation week. Then starting with the second week, you will start your first online course. Once 8 weeks is up, then you will start your second online course. So they are not concurrent. You're not taking them at the same time. They are taken back to back in that semester. Diet 6023 is a supervised practice 1. These are your actual rotations. So the week kind of looks like what I'm going to describe, and I also have a slide showing that. But on Mondays, we have class time. It's from 8 to 12. In the afternoons, you would work on assignments. We also have RD exam review. And then Tuesday through Friday of every week, you will be in your supervised practice rotation sites. And you also receive 3 hours of graduate credit for your rotation. So with the 2 online classes in your rotations and your Monday class, that would total your 9 hours of graduate credit for the fall semester. The spring semester is set up in the same way. You would take Diet 6033, Advanced Administrative Dietetics, which is your first online course. Then Diet 6043, Nutrition Counseling, that is your second online course. And again, those are back-to-back, not concurrent. Diet 6053, which is Supervised Practice 2, that is your second half of your clinical rotation sites where you are actually in clinical, community, or administrative rotation sites. Here is a picture of our current Monday class schedule and kind of what that looks like for the interns that we have in our program at this time. 8 to 12 on Mondays is class with myself. I have that broken down into 1 hour increments. So 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. These kind of vary the time periods depending upon what online course you're in at that same time and the professor that is teaching those. We always have a 1 hour skills lab built into this Monday class schedule, which this is the favorite time for our interns because we do hands-on skills labs. We do experiential learning. Skills labs may include anything from, as you can see on our schedule, carbohydrate counting. We'll have food models. We'll read food labels and count carbs. We may do nutrition-focused physical exam practice on each other and professors and student workers. We also have guest presentations, guest speakers, the library research. So we have a librarian come and talk about how do you find and search for scientific journals and articles? How do you write a research paper, prepare a poster, those types of things. One of our favorite skills labs, or that is a favorite with our interns, is we have collaborated with our nursing program on campus. And we just completed a skills lab where our nursing professors taught our students how to place NG tubes, how to take vital signs, how to complete or do CPR, how to work an automatic external defibrillator. So a lot of those things that are not typically taught in an internship, we've collaborated with different departments on campus to show us those types of skills. Also, we have simulations that we will complete during a Monday class. You can see those listed on here too. We have different lecture topics. We have projects and presentations that the students may work on throughout the week in a rotation site. And so we do some of those presentations on Mondays as well. So this is a time where we are combining everything from experiential learning to lecture time, to simulations, to guest speakers, etc. These are some of our supervised practice sites. You can see we actually have well over 30 contracts with supervised practice sites. So the Baptist Health Medical Center that's listed on here, we have multiple hospitals within that Baptist Health system that we have a contract with, but we just consider that one contract. Also, CHI St. Vincent, Arkansas Children's Hospital. The Arkansas Children's Nutrition Center is the research arm of Arkansas Children's Hospital. We also have Arkansas Heart Hospital, the University of Arkansas, so you can work with the Razorbacks for a sports nutrition rotation if that is, part of your interest. Benny Keith with marketing, DaVita Dialysis for renal, Human Development Center, Head Start. So these are just a few of our supervised practice sites that we do have. One thing that I like to mention at this time is that some of our rotations are more unique to our program than a lot of other programs may have. We polled our undergraduate students a few years ago to see what were the areas that they were most interested in, and we typically received sports nutrition, marketing, blogging, research as some of the rotations that they would love to see in our program that a lot of other programs do not have. So we actually have built in a 2-week sports nutrition rotation into our program, and you can work with the University of Arkansas Razorbacks if you want to during that sports nutrition rotation, or you can work with our campus sports here at Ouachita Baptist University. We also have built in a marketing rotation with Benny Keith, and that is a new rotation that, where you can develop skills with marketing and, commercials and blogging and how to put your products out there. We've also developed a research rotation that a lot of other internships do not have as well with Arkansas Children's Nutrition Center. They are actively involved in research all throughout the year. They have bod pods, pea pods, and DEXA and all these different types of machines that the interns can actually participate in actual research studies. So these are just a few of our sites, and those are just kind of a few of our unique rotations that we have within our program. This is our current master rotation schedule for the interns that are with us at this time. We currently have 8, and we do have positions for 12 interns. So our first 4 interns, and I've blocked out their names, you can see that they are actually in the community and administrative side of our rotation first. Interns 5 through 8 were actually in the clinical side of our internship. And then you actually switch at Christmas. So everyone gets the same rotations. We just switch or flip-flop at Christmas time. So if you were to follow, say, intern 5, you'll see that the very first week, August the 17th through the 21st, this is an orientation week for everyone. We do a lot of training this first week. We go over HIPAA, FERPA. We do training with facilities in our sites that require specific training for their electronic medical records. We also, go over the handbook, take a tour of the campus. and those types of things that we need to do to prepare to put our interns into those rotation sites. So again, if you're looking at intern 5, weeks 2 and 3, they were in a general medicine rotation at CHI St. Vincent. Week 4, they were in a cardiac rotation. Week 5, a sports nutrition rotation. Week 6, a research rotation. Week 7 was ambulatory, so outpatient nutrition counseling. Weeks 8 and 9, they were in a 2-week critical care rotation. Week 10, school food service. Week 11 was a child nutrition unit. 12 was diabetes. 13 was WIC with the health department. 14 was a pediatric rotation with the NICU department at Baptist. And then week 15, renal. We also have a staffing week where the interns can pick out one of the rotations that they were in previously within that semester and work as an entry-level dietitian in their choice of rotation sites. The very last week of each of the semesters, I know it's kind of cut off just a little bit, but it's week 17. We actually do a full week of RD exam review. So we will go over questions. We will take practice exams. We will do flashcards. We also have every Monday afternoon, one of our students every Monday will take the Visual Veggies online RD exam full course or full exam as part of our practice. We go over 50 questions every week on Mondays as well of practice RD exam questions. So every week we're working on different RD exam questions. Someone is taking the Visual Veggies practice RD exam, and then the last week of both semesters, the fall and the spring semester, we do a full week of RD exam prep. So we're trying to get our interns ready and set to take the RD exam and to pass it. Here are a couple pictures of our inaugural class of Ouachita Baptist University Dietetic interns. As a mother myself, I was forcing them to take some pictures. Of course, they were all game for taking pictures as well. But the second picture is in front of the Science Center, where they actually spend their Mondays with us on campus. Here are a few pictures of our interns in action. The picture on the left is an intern that's in one of her food service rotations. The picture in the center are 2 interns that were at the University of Arkansas. And you can see, kind of read on the back wall where it says Razorback. So they were in a 2-week sports nutrition rotation with our Razorbacks. Go Hogs. And then you can see the picture on the right. We were actually touring Juanita's Candy Kitchen, located here in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. I did forget to mention that we do have tours included embedded into our Monday classes. So we may go and tour an equipment supply company. We may tour Heifer International, which is in Little Rock, Arkansas. We may tour, Tyson Food Systems, various places we may have as some tours to go and see their kitchen or their products or their services as well. Meet your professors. We have 3 in our department that actually teach in the undergraduate department and in the dietetic internship as well. The first one is Stacy Freeman. She has taught for 24 years at Ouachita. She also works at the Arkadelphia Human Development Center. She has 2 children, Olivia and Walt, and she has 1 grandchild, Ava, and her hobbies include cooking and antiquing. Dr. Breck has taught for 21 years at Ouachita. She also works with the All Care Diabetes Self-Management Education Program. She has 1 child, Katie, and her hobbies include reading and yard work. And then you have a picture of myself. Again, I'm Holly Kyzer, and I have 17 years of teaching experience. I have 2 children, Emma and Reed, who keep me very busy. My hobbies include reading and visiting national parks. And one funny story about my kids with that is that we love to go, or I do at least, visit national parks. And my kids are always like, we drive so far and we get out and look at a tree, or we get out and look at a rock. And I'm like, isn't it beautiful? But I also love candy. And I always like to mention that you can be a registered dietitian nutritionist and still love sweets and desserts. So life at Ouachita, why should you choose us? So we have a rich heritage. We are a Christian university. We are only one of 6 Christian dietetic internships in the nation. We have a diverse student population, especially our undergraduate student population. We have more than 1,500 students in our undergraduate population from 30 different states and 30 different nations. We do offer 18 hours of graduate credit towards your master's degree. It is a 9-month program. So again, we start in August of each year and we conclude in May. There is a graduation ceremony for dietetic interns in May. We have over 30 supervised practice sites, well over 100 preceptors in our program, and you would have access to all Ouachita has to offer. So come see what Ouachita is all about. This is a setting where students can thrive academically, spiritually, personally, etc. So come join us. My information is on this slide, as well as my phone number, my email address, and then also this is a link to our website, our Dietetic Internship website. There is a lot of information on our website, including our handbook. All the information that I went over and covered today is also on our website as well. There is a photo gallery on there of our current interns in practice and in their various sites, as well as we have pictures and biographies of our current interns. So all that information is present there. Feel free to give me a call anytime or send me an email. I would love to speak with you about our wonderful program if you have any questions. And then, so I'll turn it over to you, Dr. McKinley.
All right. Thank you so much for that presentation. That was awesome. All right. We're going to jump right into the 5 questions that I ask all the directors that come on the podcast. And these questions were put together with the help of some of my students. I kind of probed them to see what they really wanted to know from directors about applying to programs, and especially their program. So the first question I have is there a particular thing that you love to see when you're reading a personal statement?
Few things that I really love to read in personal statements for those that apply. The first one would be what hooked them into nutrition, kind of what got them into this field. Why do they love nutrition dietetics, and what do they want to do with this type of degree? The second thing that I love to read about is experience. So again, whether it's volunteer or paid, I love to see that you try to get experience in this field. To shadow someone, or even if it was paid experience. Those are 2 things that I love to read about in personal statements.
All right. So my second question is a true or false question. So true or false, an applicant's resume should be 1 page and 1 page only. Either way, why?
For us, that would be false. Resumes can be as long as needed. And the one thing that I always caution students about is, I don't need all the extra information, the extra fluff is what I like to say. You can be concise. So if you need to have it longer than 1 page, that is perfectly fine. But we don't want all the extra fluff. We want, just the important information on your resume. So it can be longer than 1 page.
All right. Awesome. So what is one thing that an applicant may do that you might look at as either like a red flag or maybe a total deal breaker where you would say to yourself, I don't think this person's the right fit for our program?
So far, we have not come across a deal breaker yet. So we can't really speak to experience on this since we are in our first year for applicants. The only thing that I would be cautious about or careful to tell applicants is just be careful with social media and how you do present yourself on social media and some of those platforms, because, those are open and available to the entire world. So just be careful and cautious about that.
That is very good advice. All right. So even though you're a new program, what is one thing that you're working on to try to make even better for the interns?
The one thing we're working on, all of it all the time. We are always evaluating our rotations, etc. But the one focus that we like to do is the unique rotations, keeping up with what are our current students most interested in. What are some of those rotations that they really want to see in our program, and can we make those available to our current interns? So as I mentioned before with, the sports nutrition rotation, with marketing, with research, a lot of the internships, if you really look into programs all across the nation, a lot of those do not have those types of rotations. So we're trying to keep abreast of what most interests current students and if we can make those rotations possible.
All right. So my last question is a two-parter. So the first part is, what are 3 adjectives, descriptors, phrases that you feel best describe your program overall?
The first one would probably be, we are a Christian university, so we are a faith-based program. The second would be that we have a very strong academic background. The third would probably be that we have excellent faculty and unwavering support from our university. So those are 3 things that I would use to describe our program.
All right. So the second half is very similar. 3 adjectives, descriptors, or phrases to describe your ideal applicant.
The first one would probably be experience. Again, volunteer or paid. Is that if they have experience, that shows really that they are a go-getter, that they wanted to have that experience to put on their resume. The second would be excellent grades. The third would probably be that internal drive to succeed. And that would really show up probably in their personal statements and just kind of all over their application.
All right. Well, we do have a question in the chat. Do you have opportunities to work in community outreach programs in the internship?
We do. We work with the Senior Center. We work with cooperative extensions. We also work with the Human Development Center. We have interns that deliver meals for Meals on Wheels. So we have all kinds of opportunities built into our rotation sites, and within those different types of rotations that we have, especially community, where you can work with the community in those types of settings. Also WIC, the health department. So we do have a lot of community rotations.
All right. Speaking of rotations, just kind of seeing some of the ones that you listed on the slide, about how far of a mile radius from campus would interns have to travel?
So it just depends. Because we have so many different contracts with places within the state of Arkansas, I actually have interns that live as far away as, more than 60 miles from our university. You typically have to come to our campus on Mondays for class. Then within the rotations that are Tuesday through Friday, I can set up most of those rotations, not every single one, but most of those rotations I can set up somewhere closer to your home base. So I do have one, intern. I actually have several interns that live, 60 miles or farther away from the university. So because I know their home base, where they're located, I can set them up in rotations with, a lot of their clinical sites in hospitals or clinical settings that are close to where they live. So as long as I know ahead of time where you will be staying, that should not be a problem to get the majority of your rotations close to where you live. There are some rotations, though, that are in Arkadelphia only, so you would have to keep that in mind. But again, I have several students that live farther away. All
right. And so with getting the 18 hours of graduate credit, how does one go about finishing the master's?
We are currently in the process of applying for the master's program here at Ouachita. We are in the phase where we're working on the curriculum as we speak. So we hope to offer that in the summer of 2022. So this next year round, whenever they finish, and they would start in August of 2021 and finish in May of 2022. So those students could potentially, go right into our master's program. We would require 36 hours for master's credit. You would be halfway done once you complete the internship. And so we are fulfilling that, the master's part, since you do have to have that by January of 2024 in order to sit for the RD exam. So we are working on that second part as we speak.
So since the program isn't degree-based, would an intern be able to use federal financial aid, or do they have to use private financial aid?
There is federal financial aid that's available. You just have to apply for it, of course.
Okay. All right. And then since I want to say did you go through first round match last year, or did you just do second round?
We did not. Ascend, our site visit with Ascend, the accrediting body, occurred after the first round match, so we were not able to do the first round match. So we did second round.
Okay. So with that in mind, how are you planning to rank applicants this year? What order of application materials are you really going to be looking at more than others? Or how are you going to be assessing or scoring certain application items?
We do have a rubric that we use for our applicants, and the things that were on the admission requirements slide, those are the things that are, ranked for us. So the GPA, the 3 different sets of GPA criteria, then also for the GRE score, and then for the experience. Those are the things that kind of, will rank others ahead of, other applicants.
All right. And so for current interns now, are you sticking with the traditional 1,200? Are you following the 1,000 required hours for COVID? How are you handling that?
We're actually following the 1,200 hours. We have been very fortunate in that COVID has not caused a great disruption to our rotation sites. And so the majority of our rotations are physically in those rotation sites. We've only had, I think, 2 rotations that are virtual rotations. And so we are utilizing all 1,200 hours.
All right. Well, that was all I had for questions. So, Holly, give us one last take-home message for potential applicants this year.
I would love for you to come check us out at Ouachita. So check out our website and come see us. Again, we are a faith-based program. We have strong academic background. We have wonderful professors, and we would love for you to be a part of the Ouachita crowd. So check us out, and feel free to give me any emails, questions, to give me a call as well. I would love to speak with you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Holly, for being on the podcast with us. And for those at home, if you're interested in the Ouachita program, I've included the link to their website in the description below this video. And so feel free to reach out when you can. And as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode with another awesome dietetic internship. And we'll see you next time.